Anti-Semitism is not a German invention. You'll find, if you've ever been to the city of York in UK, there's Clifford's Tower, where over 100 Jews were hounded in and the tower was set fire to. But here in Germany, anti-Semitism took a whole different meaning. During his rise to political power, Adolf Hitler came under the influence of the mayor of Vienna, who was an anti-Semitist. And by the time he became chancellor, he had a pathological hatred of the Jews. In Mein Kampf, and also in the education system in Germany, children as young as 3 were taught that Jews were evil, that Jews were responsible for the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, that Jews were responsible for Germany's humiliation and defeat in the First World War. And so the whole of the German society were turned against the Jewish people. Hitler made his move against the Jews on the anniversary of the Bielefeld Putsch on the 9th of November 1938 in what became known as Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass. On that night, synagogues were burnt to the ground. Jewish homes were evacuated, the occupants, the families, forcibly removed into either ghettos or concentration camps. Jewish shops looted and commandeered. And there began the terror against the Jewish people. There were so many Jews hounded by not only in Germany by the Nazis, but also in the occupied territories, that for the Nazis, the Jews became a problem which required a solution. And so on the 20th of January 1942, top Nazis met at a country villa in Berlin at the Wannsee to decide what was called the final solution. And there it was decided that the only solution was the complete annihilation of the Jewish people. And so by the end of the war, 6 million Jews were killed. However, fairly early on in the war, the foreign minister, Ribbentrop, reasoned that if we could keep 30,000 influential Jews that were citizens of enemy states and had US and British passports, perhaps they could be used in exchange for German citizens. Well, eventually the SS under Himmler decided that a more realistic figure was 10,000. And so in 1943, it was decided to try and find an appropriate location for these so-called exchange Jews. They originally looked at Denmark as a possibility, but instead they looked here into Germany, even though Hitler wanted Germany completely free of Jewish people. And so the Department for Industry and Commerce, the SSWVHA, were asked to find a suitable location, and they approached the Wehrmacht. They went to the supreme headquarters of the German armed forces, who said, look at Bergen-Belsen, this prisoner of war camp, training area, ideal place to set up your camp for privileged Jews. Remember that 50,000 people died here, and yet this was supposed to be a camp for privileged Jews. In fact, it even had the title Erholungslager, a recuperation camp, where people who were sick were brought here to recuperate. It was an absolute disaster. So behind us we have what remains of Hut 9 and 10, part of what became called the Star Camp, the camp for privileged Jews. Called the Star Camp because, of course, they had to wear the Star of David on their clothes to mark them off as Jews. In the Star Camp, there were 18 barrack blocks, 2 of which were classified as an old people's home. These barrack blocks were 80 metres long and 18 metres wide, were supposed to house 180 people, privileged Jews, with just one toilet. When the British liberators came, the senior medical officer, Brigadier Glyn Hughes, reasoned that 83 soldiers could be accommodated comfortably in one of these barrack blocks. And in one barrack block they found, on liberation, 1,500 women, and that's not including the dead. And when they brought medical teams in from UK, the human excrement was ankle deep in one of these blocks. So if you like to have a wander around, you can see the dimensions of one of these barrack blocks, blocks 9 and 10, and also really horribly, I guess, the SS made the prisoners keep pigs, which were an unclean animal for Jews, in one of these barrack blocks.